Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. I'm your host, Blake Monroe. I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton, and today we got Rod Babers filling in for Jerry as he hits the road to do some recruiting-related things, I guess we can say. But tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We're going to get to those. And of course, it's Wednesday, which means it's hump day with Heels. Tony Heels will be joining us for some trench church here in just a little bit as well. And guys, I want to start with something that affects all of college football this morning. And Bobby, I'm just going to let you lead into it.
Yeah, the AFCA, American Football Coaches Association, came out with a suggestion yesterday. Rod, I want to get your feedback. I want to get everybody's feedback. We can talk about it later in the show and kind of discuss it even further. But their suggestion from the AFCA, a couple of things. Increase playoffs to 24 teams from the current 12 format. That, therefore, in their opinion, cuts out conference championship games and gives the first 8 teams a bye. Second is the ending conference championship games, like we mentioned. And then they want to finish college football by the second Monday in January, essentially. They want a Monday night football type atmosphere for the national championship game. You know, I think that what is happening here, most importantly, Rod and Blake, is that we are seeing people push the SEC away from their preferred format of 16, and other groups are coalescing around the idea of 24 teams. And with the AFCA doing this isn't the interesting thing about the AFCA doing it is obviously some SEC coaches vote in this, but it's the preponderance of 130 or so Division I coaches, and they come together and create their suggestions. They're trying to push it to 24 teams. That is different than what we've looked at before in the SEC and what Greg Sankey has pushed for. But a move forward, I believe, this format as backed by the AFCA. Interestingly, Rod, it preserves the Army-Navy time window, but not that specific day just for Army-Navy, which I thought that's ridiculous to reserve a whole day for them anyways, in my opinion, for a single football game that it's patriotic, but the level of football there is not exactly championship level to what we're trying to get to a national champion in college football. What are your thoughts about what the AFCA had to offer here, Rod?
Number one, the expansion of the playoffs, I totally understand. I mean, we're kind of in a super size me mentality when it comes to our postseasons in sports. I mean, almost every major league, major sports league has expanded their playoffs, right? In the last few years. I mean, the NFL's done it. Major League Baseball's done it. The NBA's done it to a certain extent. So everybody's trying to expand the playoffs. So I'm not surprised there. That's just kind of major American team sports. So that's a smart move by them to expand the playoffs. Some people will say it's watered down. 24 teams is too many teams. But I think the evidence speaks for itself that sports fans appreciate the expanded playoffs because you keep hope alive with fan bases. More teams have a chance to, compete for the championship, and that honestly the ratings increase with expanded playoffs. So I'm not surprised by that one. I like that one actually, and it's good for all the power conferences. They love it because they're just going to get more teams in. If 24 teams are allowed in, the power conferences are sitting pretty because they're all going to get multiple teams in. End of the conference title games, I get it because I feel like the coaches at this point believe, and I'm sure there are mixed examples of it. There's more to lose than to gain right now in those conference championship games. So I'm sure they're just going to have a regular season champion and just declare it that way. But, in the conference championship games, most of those teams feel like they're already in when they kind of get there. And if you're right on the cusp in the championship game and then you lose, then you're out. But a 24-team playoff, that probably will be different. But I do understand that, one less game in terms of the wear and tear. They're trying to end the season early. That's part 3. And getting rid of the conference championship game is a big part of that. You're going to keep the conference championship games. You're going to, obviously try to consolidate a lot of football action in a short time period. If you're still trying to the mid-January is when they want to end the season.
Yeah, second week of January.
Yeah. So which is actually kind of the opposite of the philosophy, at least of the NFL. The NFL looks at the sports calendar like a monopoly board, and they're trying to own as much of it as they can. They want to say, hey, let's go 18 games and end expand the postseason. The NFL is just trying to now the NFL is going to go into Valentine's Day, I believe, next year, right? I don't think it'll be like that right there on the verge of Valentine's Day. Like the NFL doesn't care. I believe you'll get that Monday off next year, if I'm not mistaken, that President's Day. For the NFL.
They want community chess. They want free parking.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They want all that. They want all that, Bobby. So, but I see college football. Maybe they see that their specific identity. They should shorten it. They should try to stop it at a certain point. A lot of people complained about how long it was, and you still do have the transfer portal to consider. I think that may be a big part of this consideration too, and trying to time things up with that transfer portal as well. With the only one window now, of course.
I want to come back to this conversation later this morning if we get a chance, because I want to ask two more questions of you, Rod, before we got some recruiting news that's breaking, as well as some other stuff that we need to talk about. But I want to ask you these questions as it relates to this. You mentioned the term watered down. Is 24 too many? Is it watered down the group? And then the second, of those 24, how many should the Big Ten and SEC get each?
I know.
In your opinion,
that's
like
wild.
How many should those two get? Because I think the devil is in the details when you go into this larger number. And the NCAA basketball tournament went to 64, and they've just now come back to the idea, these power conferences really should get more. Yeah. I don't want us to go out wide on 24 teams and have 4 teams that have no real chance of getting into the finals. That's what happens sometimes when you first broaden your number. Yeah. So I want to go back to that. Before we do that, I want to say thank you to one of our sponsors, if you don't mind. That is our friends over at Lowy Law Firm. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, and you think you might be due compensation, reach out to Adam Lowy and his firm at lowylawfirm.com. They'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation to see if you might be due compensation. Again, that's lowylawfirm.com. They sponsor each and every Wednesday morning coffee and football. Thanks, Adam, for your sponsorship of not only our show, but also of University of Texas Athletics.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to talk a little recruiting this morning. Going to bring in Hank South. Good morning to you, Hank.
Good morning. How are y'all?
What's up,
Hank? Hank, you're our man this morning because Jerry is speeding down I-10 to go see Easton Royal. you can kind of visualize.
Easton Royal.
He's like he's over the Lake Pontchartrain Bridge or the Atchafalaya Basin, somewhere over there, eating beef jerky, going about 75. Yes, you know this. Hey, a couple of things happened yesterday. We wanted to break it down for folks. Let's start with Brock Williams, the nation's #1 tight end. He announces a commitment date. What is it about him, and what do you want to talk about there?
Yeah, it's the long-awaited commitment date from Brock Williams. I feel like we've been talking about it for a few months. He came out yesterday and announced that he is putting out a commitment on May 15th. So I think that's next Friday, I believe. So time and how he's going to do it is to be determined per his dad. But May 15th, we have a date, and that's what we've been waiting for. We expected it in May. We just didn't have an exact date. And this is a big deal. This is a major Texas target. Obviously, they have JT Garachi committed, but Brock Williams is a different type of tight end. He can do the inline blocking, as you see. It can also stretch the field as a pass catcher. He can return kicks. He can do it all. And he's that big body, kind of do-it-all tight end that Steve Sarkisian loves to utilize. So he's a kid that's he's been down to Texas, Georgia, and Ohio State for, I think, since the fall. And going into this year, going into 2026, it was really Georgia that was trending back in January. Then Brock Williams I think he took 3 visits. He took one in January during that big ice storm day. So that kind of showed you his serious level of interest. He still made that trip. He took a visit for the Arkansas game last fall, and then he took 2 more visits this spring. So he's been to Texas more than he's been to any other school in the last, 4 months. And Texas has really started to trend up with him. And so much so that, OTF has projected him to land at Texas when he decides. Georgia recently just added Jackson Dollar, another really talented tight end. And then Ohio State has kind of been considered the distant third for Brock Williams. So it looks like all things positive for Brock Williams in Texas. Jeff Banks was in to see him last week. I believe they're seeing him again this week on the road. But certainly he would be a massive addition to this Texas class, just, with his overall ability, as you see on his film.
Hey, he's from Libertyville, Illinois, correct?
Yes.
How big is he, just so people have a sense of that?
He's about 6'5". Let me see if they updated his latest weight. He's 6'5". I want to say 210, 6'5", 210.
Gotcha.
If that's accurate.
He's almost comes in like a Gunnar Helm type.
Yes, exactly. That's what I wrote down in my notes. Just he's kind of that Gunnar Helm they're looking for in this 27 class.
Gotcha. Other scholarship offers, things going on in recruiting right now, Hank?
Yeah, it's been a really, Tuesday was a really busy day, and you expect it. Usually you see underclassmen get offers, but we saw a couple of 2027 kids get offered yesterday. I want to talk about Brooklyn Maxey on the right there. This is a really interesting one, and Jerry made a point of this yesterday that I thought was interesting too. The 2 offers they put out in 27 yesterday were Sean Fox, who's kind of that overhang linebacker, and then Brooklyn Maxey, who's that kind of big body safety. And he noted, maybe these are Mike Stoops influenced offers now that, he with him on the staff. And it makes sense. Both of these guys were heavily recruited by Kentucky. Obviously, Brooklyn Maxey is committed to Louisville. He's a really interesting kid. I just mentioned Brock Williams returning kicks. Brooklyn Maxey has 2 kickoff return touchdowns last season. That's what he starts his huddle film with. He's committed to Louisville as a wide receiver. Texas is recruiting him as a safety. So he's kind of got that. I think he's more of a safety build. He has that speed and size combo. 6'2", 205. Most of his film is on the offensive end, so you can certainly see, his ball skills, catch radius. But I think he certainly, I can see the projection to safety with him. But he is committed to Louisville. I spoke with him on Tuesday night, and he actually just committed on April 20th, so it's like 2 weeks ago. But he says he wants to officially visit Texas, and he has that June 19th through 21st weekend open. So, if he does pencil one in with, or, put one in with Texas, it's going to be that weekend. He's also going to see Louisville. Obviously, he's committed there. K-State and Wisconsin are his others. But interesting note about him, his entire family went to Indiana. So he's in Tampa at Carrollwood Day School, but his whole family went to Indiana. I asked him, he said they're talking to him, but they haven't offered him yet. So I don't know if that would move the needle anything if the Hoosiers jumped in for him, but he said Texas and Alabama were the 2 offers that made him feel best when he got them. So he doesn't have an official schedule to Bama. He seemed pretty intent on getting out to Austin in June. So that was another big 27 offer yesterday. And then, I think I wrote down a handful, at least 5 different 2028 offers as well.
Nice.
Hey, who was the other offer yesterday? Just real quick, and
Sure.
what position? And you said Mark Stoops and his Kentucky connections might be playing a role in this.
Yeah, it's interesting. His name is Sean Fox, another kid in Indiana. So Texas was in Indiana yesterday. Chris Jackson obviously saw Monsoon Sales, who we'll talk about as well. But 6'4.5", 220-pound linebacker, 4-star from Warren Central, which is obviously one of the premier programs in the state of Indiana. But a guy that I believe, if you ask people, he's trending to Kentucky. So he's had a long-standing relationship with Kentucky. And then I mentioned, Brooklyn Maxey, I believe Vince Mara, who's the longtime coach at Kentucky that's now at Louisville, I think influenced his commitment. So you're kind of starting to see the Mike Stoops influence, at least obviously on the defensive side of the ball. So it'll be curious to see. We haven't talked to Sean Fox yet, but Texas, and we expected this. We said they're going to go out on the road. You were going to see a handful of 2027 offers go out, and maybe some more official visits get scheduled as they get closer to June.
Man, I just don't remember great players coming out of Indiana. But now, after Indiana wins the national championship, when's the last time Texas recruited guys out of Indiana, Bobby? You ever signed a guy out of Indiana?
I can't think of one. Joey Wright, an old basketball player, was from Gary in Indiana.
But, yeah, Indiana's a basketball culture, of course. I see
Wow.
that, but
Yep.
I'm like, man, it's crazy how football, you know what I mean? Like, it all kind of, you know, to me, it's kind of random, but it feel like it's, I don't know, it's strange that the national championship now won by Indiana, and now we're talking about Indiana high school football prospects at a high level.
The one I can remember covering Alabama, the biggest name from Indiana was Emil Ekiyor. He was a offensive lineman. He was committed to Michigan. He flipped to Alabama. I don't think he went pro, but I think he's a coach. He's like a graduate assistant on the Florida staff now, but he was a really good college player.
All right.
Hey, you mentioned Monshon Sales. That's the nation's number one wide receiver. Why did you? Yeah. Why did you have him listed for today for this update?
Yeah, he's important to note. So Chris Jackson was in Indianapolis yesterday. He stopped and saw Monsoon Sales and his coach at Lawrence North. And this one's kind of rapidly come together for Texas, and we're going to see where it goes into the summer. But obviously, you know, they have I'm talking about Emil Ekiyor. They have Easton Royal committed, the 5-star wide receiver. They probably would have been okay with, you know, Easton Royal and then, you know, maybe some more developmental takes at the wide receiver position, or not as high as NIL takes. Then Monsoon Sales reached out, and he's a different receiver than Easton Royal. He's a big body guy, 6'5", can stretch the field. His film is insane. He also plays safety too, which is nuts, there at Lawrence North. But he visited Texas last month for a couple days, set in a Texas official visit for that June 5th through 7th weekend. And so going into that Texas visit, Indiana and Ohio State were the two schools to watch with him. He's actually from Alabama. His nickname was Bama as a kid. But it seems like Bama's kind of tailed off a little bit. Indiana has created a lot of buzz of late, as we talk about the defending national champions. But what we're watching, I've talked with Jerry about this, he has a Miami official visit scheduled for June 19th through 21st. And that June 5th through 7th weekend, that's the state track meet in Indiana. So it probably would interfere with his ability to get back down to Austin. We're seeing if he switches that Miami visit for Texas on June 19th through 21st. If that happens, this is getting real in terms of, you know, could Texas actually pull this kid? And, you know, we talk about Easton Royal, you know, where is he at with his commitment? He's obviously visiting other schools. Texas has to keep recruiting guys. This is probably a kid they were going to recruit regardless of whether, you know, Easton Royal's looking to go somewhere else or not. I don't think he is right now, but he is taking these visits. So we'll see what happens with this. But I mean, this kid's an insane talent. His film, I mean, he can play inside, outside. I think a lot of the film is just like, it's like NCAA football video game where they're just throwing it up to him on deep fades. But he's also really good at finding open areas in the field and yards after the catch too. So I think he's a really interesting prospect, and we'll see if maybe this turns into a Texas-Indiana thing if he does get to campus for that OV next month.
It's interesting because one of the things you're bringing it up for is these are the number 1, 2 receivers in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sales and Easton Royal are 1 and 2, and Texas clearly going to graduate heavy next year at receiver because Cam Coleman's gone. Ryan Wingo very well could be gone. Who's next?
Yeah.
And do you want to go after these big time guys? Here's a question for you from Bobby Gaithright. What is the status of Long Beach City College JUCO transfer Paul Kwame? Has he made a decision, Hank? It seems to me Texas was looking at him early, did not really follow through with an offer, even though they brought him on campus. Right. And he's had an offer or two from elsewhere. Has he made a decision, or what's the status right now for the Longhorns?
So yeah, they brought him in for that right before the spring showcase, that final practice of the year for an official visit. They were looking at him. They liked him. I think they would have decided by now if they were going to take him. I think Texas probably just decided they were happy with adding Brinley Tita from Summer Creek late out of the high school ranks. Or I guess, yeah, he signed with the JUCO. But so I think they've passed on Paul Kwame. Really good player. He'll end up somewhere good. And yeah, I've seen him report some other offers. But had there been movement on that, I think we would have seen it the week after that OV he took.
I agree with you. Yeah. Hank, thank you so much, bro. You have a good one. And thanks for the recruiting update. And Jerry will be back tomorrow when he's not speeding.
Drive safe, Jerry.
He's Thanks, Hank. He's going to be speeding somewhere in the state of Mississippi tomorrow, I think. Oh, wait, here's one for you, Hank.
Don't let him go yet.
Don't go yet. Muschamp's Corn Dog Handler says, what top prospects would you say Texas closes with at the end of the day? You said you already project Brock Williams, the tight end to Texas. Who else do we have that Texas really high on right now that is an elite prospect?
I think the easy one to say is John Meredith the third. Obviously, he's a guy that it's coming down to Texas A&M for him. So there's gonna be some shakeup with his OV schedule as we've reported on Texas football. He's likely going to move that A&M visit to the last weekend of May, and then the Texas visit the next weekend, and then we think that's it on OVs. We think that's how it's going to go because he has the OT 7 finals the next weekend, and then he has an Ohio State visit scheduled that last weekend. But all along, we've thought this is going to be. Thank you, Josh. All along, we've thought this is going to be Texas A&M, and Texas is trending up in this. And another note, A&M. Not that I don't think this is really, either or kind of thing, but Texas A&M is on the verge of landing Josh Dobson, who's a really talented cornerback from South Carolina. The Texas used to recruit. They kind of backed off once Will Muschamp came. But if he commits, I think that I'm wondering if John Meredith even, he's set to take that A&M visit, but how much does that move up this process for him? But John Meredith is an easy one to project. Brock Williams, obviously. I think Brian Swanson is still trending to Texas, the big time offensive tackle from South Oak Cliff. He's been a guy that absolutely loves Texas and vice versa. And then after that, it kind of gets interesting as to where, Texas will go. Jabarius Garor, who Jerry's about to see on his road trip out south. Joakim Gouda, the linebacker from Georgia. And I will be curious to see how the safety position goes now that they've offered Brooklyn Maxey. They like some guys in state. Blake Jenkins is another guy they really like. Junior Tuopo, who's actually in Alabama at Thompson High School. Because we saw Samaj Stanford commit to Oregon. Texas likes in-state kids, but they're also kind of expanding out a little bit. We saw that Maxey offer, and then the guys in Alabama. So they're not done. I think searching for that safety class either.
Hank, you talk about all these guys, and it does seem like they're going east quite a bit on I-10 and I-20 into Mississippi, into Alabama, into Georgia. That's why Jerry's on the road this week. But at the same time, I think Texas is becoming this national recruiting group. I mean, we just talked about Indiana, and Libertyville, Illinois is not Chicago, by the way. I mean, it's rural Illinois. I'm thinking to myself, other big names. What about Ismail Kamara, the offensive lineman out of Gilmer?
Yeah.
Because I know he's a guy that the Longhorns have liked a lot. You mentioned John Meredith, nation's top cornerback, or one of the top cornerbacks, definitely one of the top players in the state of Texas. Anybody else like that, like Kamara?
Yeah,
to talk about.
So Kamara, Texas is as good a chance as any. I think his decision is coming down a little bit more to NIL, and no fault to him on that. I mean that's what's going on. But I'm just hesitant to give. I think he's trending anywhere just because I think his decision could be influenced easier on just with NIL.
Yeah, somebody comes straight over the top. Yeah,
exactly. And that's so you see schools like Oregon involved, and SMU, other schools that could do that. But awesome talent. Texas loves him. I mean, would absolutely take him. I'm just hesitant to go in on a prediction with him just yet because I think his recruitment could have a little bit more back and forth or twists and turns, I guess I should say.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes total sense. He is Curtis Brown's cousin, by the way.
Whoa.
Former Longhorn defensive back. Also,
Nice.
Yep.
So yeah, and
Blake, do you have anything
we were talking about going east with these offers. I mean, yesterday they offered a 2028 running back in Petal, Mississippi. They offered a 4-star cornerback. This is 2028 class. 4-star cornerback in Lakeland, Florida. They offered another Midwest tight end and this isn't Southeast, but out of Wisconsin, and Trey Euler. And then a Miami 2028 athlete at Miami Carroll City. So they are doing their due diligence and racking up airline miles.
Yep. Hank, thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate you. We'll have you on more often in the as recruiting gets closer. 3 weeks away from official visits starting at Texas, late May. Is that accurate?
It is, yeah. So Texas might have some guys at the end of May, but it's going to really kick off that June 5th through 7th weekend. They actually have an elite camp on that May 31st, so probably won't see a ton of 2027 kids. Maybe always one sneaks in here and there, but June 5th through 7th is when it really kicks off.
Gotcha.
Good stuff, Hank.
Thanks, guys.
Great stuff.
All right. Thank you, Hank. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Hook 'em, buddy.
All right, guys.
Hank is
Well,
also
I tell you what.
our Hank is
Yeah.
he's like a 5-tool player, just so you know.
know.
He's also our managing editor for the .com. Does a great job on that. I feel like our website's taking a real strong move here of late with Hank in the saddle. So appreciate Hank for joining us.
For sure. Okay, well, before don't forget we got Tony Hills coming. We're going to get to a lot more of your questions as well, so be sure to get those in. But first, Bobby, it's time for you to tell everyone this morning about Mint Mobile.
I can do it. Every group has someone who insists on doing things the hard way. That friend's still paying for a subscription they forgot they had. One refusing to update their phone because it still works. I used to be that person too, especially when it came to overpaying for wireless. Then I switched to Mint Mobile. Stop paying way too much for wireless just because that's how it's always been. For a limited time, get 50% off 3, 6, or 12-month plans of unlimited premium wireless. They have a 7-day money-back guarantee. They have customer satisfaction ratings in the mid-90s. If you're ready to stop paying more than you have to, new customers can make the switch today, and for a limited time, get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/OnTexas. That's mintmobile.com/OnTexas. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for a 12-month plan is required. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable devices required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. Additional terms apply. See mintmobile.com for details. Again, that's mintmobile.com/OnTexas. $15 a month for new customers.
And I'm going to tell you all about one of our other sponsors this morning. That, of course, being Prize Picks. And I'm telling you, it's May. The weather's perfect. Everything's rolling. And Prize Picks adds more fun to your favorite sports. Now every possession matters. Every at-bat matters. Every shot, every pitch. You're locked in from start to finish. You're not just watching anymore. You got a little juice in it. And there's a chance to cash in, too. The best part is it's easy. There's no deep dives, no complicated nonsense. You're just picking more or less on player stats, points, rebounds, hits, strikeouts, whatever you're already watching. You build your lineup, you submit it, and you're good. Takes maybe a minute to do. You've got options everywhere as well. Basketball, baseball, hockey, golf. You can stick to one or mix and match across everything. Whatever's on, it fits. And what fits for us today, fellas, we're going to take former Longhorn Cody Clemens to have more than half a total base. Clemens has reached 6 times in his last 5 games, so he's doing very well. We're also going to take former LSU standout Paul Skeens to have more than 5.5 strikeouts. Skeens, of course, always solid on the mound, and he's only had less than 6 one time, going all the way back to the end of March. So that is the play for today, guys. And go check it out, prizepicks.com. Prize Picks is available in all 50 states, including right here in the great state of Texas. So if you haven't jumped in yet, now's the time. Download the app. Use code HMA. Play $5. They're going to give you $50 in lineups instantly. Code HMA. 5 gets you 50. Simple as that. As always, play smart, play responsibly, play Prize Picks. Speaking of smart and responsible, I know somebody that we need to talk to this morning. That's Tony Hills. Good morning, Tony.
Yeah.
Hey, Rock, can I get it one time, dog? Can I get? Yeah, that's my guy right there. What's happening, OTF? Hey, as y'all can see, man, I ain't taking no days off either. You know what I'm saying? We out here. We gonna make it happen anywhere we at. So what's happening? We broadcasting and we out here at 24-hour fitness. As you can see, the luxurious brick wall behind me. Great scenery.
You get work today. Hey, what is your workout routine, Tony? For how do you keep in shape
Yeah.
these days?
I love that. Great question. So Sunday through Friday, I lift. So Sunday is heavy leg day. We got heavy back squat, anything loading the leg. So heavy load Sunday. Then we got floor press. So heavy load upper body on Monday. Tuesday is all cardio. So I might hit some hill running. I might do, some incline running here in the facility, or I might go outside and sprint some hills. Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday leg volume, so high reps. Thursday, upper body high reps. And then Friday is the athlete day, man, where I go back and I get to revisit some of my athletic days, box jumps, sprints, all that good type of stuff. So, yeah, we doing a little bit of mixture of everything. I guess you call Friday like a HIIT training day, high intensity training.
Wow.
Hey, what pushes you to do that? I mean, you're obviously not playing for the Steelers anymore for the long. I mean, why are you doing that kind of heavy rotation in physical? You just like being healthy? What's the motivation behind it for you?
Yeah, I believe at this point it's just routine. I've always enjoyed the process of working out and the results that come from it. It's a mental clarity. I usually get it done early in the morning, so I start my day off with doing something hard. Sometimes I start my day off with doing something hard in the mindset of something that I don't want to do, right? But it allows me to continue to stay active and to work my mind really more than I work my body, just to get after it from that regard. And then the other part of that, Bobby, is I have a 4-year-old daughter who's very beautiful. So at some point, these guys are going to start coming. So I need to make sure that I'm an intimidating presence after they get past if they get past all her brothers.
Oh, you got that taken care of. Oh, yeah, you got that taken care of, man. They'll be intimidated. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you something, because I had a friend of mine we were talking about line play, and we got into this conversation about pass rushers and pass rushing moves. What's the most difficult pass rusher to block, in your opinion? Type of pass rusher to block?
A Reuben Bain.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason being is a lot of times, okay, so when you have guys like, say, let's take Willie Anderson, for example, right? He's a very strong athletic guy, right? He hustles. They got the long arm, right? There's those type of things. But there are ways to be able to counteract that, right? Whether it's switching up your set. The first thing as an offensive lineman, you want to take away the pass rusher's best 2 moves, right? If he beats you with the 3rd and 4th move, he's just a bad dude. That's they get paid too, right?
Yeah.
But somebody like Reuben is similar in a way to Von Miller in the sense of this. Not saying his production, just his body type, is that regardless of his arms, his ankle flexibility. When you play guys that have tremendous ankle flexibility, it allows them to bend the corner to a point to sometimes they can even get underneath your punch, right? So like you could literally have a target strike, and they have so much flexibility that they can drop underneath and pop back up again. I've seen a couple guys with that type of thing. That's a heck of a thing to block, right? So that's a lot of times why you see these offensive line coaches, they look for the lineman's flexibility. Like how low can he get? How quick is his feet movement? Things of that nature, because you have to be able to match that. There was a run, Rod, maybe a few years back, where you started looking at guys that had some basketball background, because that's where they were finding their flexibility. And so now what you're seeing is, like Sark talks about, you want people that are 2-sport athletes. Primarily, if they're good wrestlers, right? That's a great offensive lineman, because of the fact that you're going to work that hip explosion, that flexibility, being able to stay low, being able to meet you at the bend, all of those type of things. So I believe flexibility from a pass rusher and get off is the top 2 things that give tackles problems. And then just go watch it in the NFL. Watch the guys that have a good get off with great flexibility, how much fits they're giving the tackles that are some high-end guys in the NFL.
Is that what makes Colin Simmons really, really good, in your opinion?
Absolutely. Perfect example. His ability not only to hit you to speed to power, but to hit you to speed to power, release, and then dip underneath, right? The counter move of the tackle. Like, I'm telling you, like explosive guys like that, to be honest, that's what made Brian Orakpo so good. Brian Orakpo was not just a strength guy. Brian Orakpo, it was so funny. He's an anomaly because his hips were tight, but he had the ability to get around a corner really, really well. Which go look at his sack numbers. It'll back up what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So those guys that are explosive and have that good ankle flexibilities, those are the guys that give you the most problems.
Hey, I got another question for you. Lately, the tight end position has become really, really popular. Like it's back in vogue now. That a lot of two tight formations in the NFL. Matter of fact, I think you had 22 tight ends drafted, most since 2002. They had 27 tight ends invited to the combine, but they're not the pass receiving tight ends. They're blocking tight ends.
Yeah.
Who's the blocking tight end that lined up next to you?
Oh, a good blocking tight end.
I know because. Right, are in your experience, are tight ends more than capable blockers? Do you consider them, or are they just serviceable?
Well, I mean,
elite
and
blockers?
fairly, Jermichael Finley was not considered a great blocker.
That's
When he
what
was
I'm saying.
No. I love
J.
Mike. I love J. Mike. I'm not picking J. Mike. I'm not picking J. Mike, right? Well, okay. Well, we gotta talk about levels. Are we talking about professionally or collegiately?
Bro, give me one of either. One of each.
Okay.
One of each.
Then one of the top blocking tight ends that I've ever had an opportunity to play with would probably be David Thomas.
There you go. That's why he's
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you saw what he did professionally. That was a strength of David, and it wasn't because he was overwhelmingly big, right? It was his willingness and his tenacity and his understanding of angles of how to block. And then professionally, I'd probably say Heath Miller was one of the best blocking tight ends that I was around. And again, it was a lot of the David Thomas situation. He just knew how to take angle. And then being in Pittsburgh as a tight end, you have to take pride in blocking. Yeah. It's unacceptable to do anything else. So David Thomas and Heath Miller would be and then my runner-up, honestly, would from a collegiate standpoint, would probably be Bo Scaife.
Hey, that's my dog.
Bo Skeezy was a really good because he liked that contact, right?
Yeah.
He liked it. He took pride. He was really kind of like an offensive lineman. Like he took pride in blocking people. So that'd be those three right there.
Much to tell Skis, you gave him that shout out right there.
Well, he's about to be on my podcast too, man. I got to get him on. So
all pro, baby, all pro. Get that all
pro, baby.
Hey, Tony and Rod. Well, I've got y'all both here. Question for y'all: the proliferation of tight ends. What do you make of it? And Rod, you touched on it, but is it because they want to be run centric and it's a return to ball control, or is it what is the idea here as we talk about more tight ends, Rod and Tony?
Well, I'll take the question. I believe the reality is that you're starting to see the mismatch that tight ends present on the field and how it stresses the defense, right? A lot of times, if you have a good blocking tight end, there's so many different formations. You can line him up in the backfield and swing him out that way. He becomes a lead blocker, like at that F position, or you can play him at the H spot to be able to do a couple of things. You can put stress. You can change. The defense on first down. A lot of times they want to play a base. You can get them out of base by running 2-by-2 sets, and where you have a tight end playing an inside slot that has the ability to have that athleticism. So now it switches the way the defensive coordinators calls front. So they put what they usually call star nickel out there, which is a smaller player. You space them out, and now you're able to present a 6-man box on first down. You have a good offensive line. You can put a mid-draw in, and all of a sudden you're picking up 7 yards easy because they just don't have the bodies inside of the box to stop it. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with athletic tight ends. And these guys, man, the way I believe the wave on tight ends is because we're actually going to start seeing a difference between how the offenses start maneuvering. Like I believe they're getting away from just the 30, 40, 50 drop back passes a game, and they're wanting to go back to more balance. And it's a copycat league. We saw Dallas do that. I believe Schottenheimer really opened some eyes up because he used tight ends a lot in his offense. And so, it's a copycat league.
Yep. And to that point, it's basically forces defense to make a choice. That's what Teal's talking about. Like if I come out in 12 personnel, one back, two tight ends, and your tight ends are skilled enough to threaten you in the passing game, you're gonna keep that nickel out there. But if you do, you got David Thomas blocking. Well, hey man, that means you're gonna lose the numbers battle up front, and they got the mass advantage too, because they're gonna have bigger bodies on the field. But if you match up in 40 personnel with 3 or 4 linebackers on the field, and your tight ends also can be threats in the passing game. Well, I'm gonna eat them tight end. I'm gonna eat them linebackers alive. Tight ends better. So so it forces the defense to have to have freaks. That's why you want these hybrids now. You want hybrid linebackers like those Ohio State freaks. Anthony Hill's in that conversation, or you want nickel backs that are really, really versatile, like Eman Wari at Seattle is probably ideal, where they're not at a disadvantage whether you decide to put them out there against 12 personnel and they want to play bully ball, or if you put them out there against 11 personnel and they got to match up against wide receivers. So it's taken. And I'll say this real quick. Sark has been ahead of the game on this. Sark loves 12 personnel. He's been a big fan of it. Some people argue he plays too much 12 personnel. Averages around 30 to 35% 12 personnel usage. If you go look at Georgia in 2021, they were over 35% 12 personnel. You go look at Georgia in 2022 when they won it, they were over 50% 12 personnel. Michigan was a 40% 12 personnel team. It's something that the championship teams have been doing for a while to impose their will. And now you're starting to see kind of a throwback to it in mainstream football at every level.
And real quick, Bobby, and I'll be fast because the point that you made to 12, the reason why that offense is so dominating against defenses is because it limits the amount of things that a defense can do. You have to balance up. So you can't be in a situation to where you overload, because if you overload, then you give advantage to the offense on either side of the field. So I'll give you a prime example. Say you run 12 personnel and you're a zone running team. Well, if you're a defense that wants to overload to the strip, you can easily check run backside. Now what a defense considered to be the strong side can actually become a weak side just with a simple audible and a flip of a play. So it forces you to play a 7-man box balanced up, and you can't really do a lot of things out of that. Or you maybe blitz a linebacker off the wheel, or maybe go 50 personnel and walk them on the line of scrimmage or things like that. But then it opens you up for the pass game. So it's a very complicated offense for defenses to stop, man. I'm getting excited about that, man. We need to come on 12. Come on, Big 12.
I know you. Let's talk about this next. Is the tight end, like for Texas? I mean, I just looked it up while y'all were talking. 2 all-pro tight ends this year were Trey McBride out of Arizona, the Cardinals, and then Kyle Pitts, Atlanta Falcons. Is that the idea? And not Brock Bowers, by the way, who is having all kinds of receiving records.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Yeah. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
For what Sark wants to do, which is it? Or is it just get the best player available and then he'll figure out what to do with them? You see what I'm saying? Like what's ideal for his offense? That body type and type of player. Is it just the best player available and he'll figure it out?
I'll let Rod take that.
I think ultimately Sark still hasn't found his ideal tight end, because he wants one that, to Hill's point, is like a David Thomas. And I say that like they grow on trees. They don't. But a guy that's an animal as a blocker in the run game, and a guy that also can beat one-on-one coverage and be a threat downfield. I don't know if he's had both. I mean, has he? I don't know if he's had both. And he wants that guy specifically in the run game, because that's how you take advantage of defenses who want to match up with nickel personnel in sub packages, that you can just maul guys in the run game. Yeah, he has that capable, blockers. They're not incompetent. They're capable and they're competent blockers. But he has not had a guy that I think mauls in the run game. Have we had a mauler at the tight end position?
They think Matunis might be.
Okay.
I was going to say, well, what is your take on, and I only go off of this because of size and how I've seen him get after it in the run blocking game, but what is your take on Gurner Helm? Would you say that he was a pretty, I wouldn't say a dominant force, but more than serviceable, or like maybe that type of body type that Sark liked, because he used him a lot in certain situations?
He loved Helm, and Helm was great. Like I said, Helm ended up being honestly exceeding my expectations as a pass catcher. That might be the greatest tight end season in the history of Texas football for a pass catcher. And I do think he was a plus blocker. I wouldn't say that he was like an elite blocker.
Elite blocker.
Yeah.
Who would be your example of an elite blocker at the tight end position?
I don't know that Texas has had
exactly. That's kind of my thing. I don't know if they really had one. That's kind of like I don't know if Sarkis had that yet. I just think he's looking for that.
I know one. Jeff Swain.
Jeff Swain wasn't Sark, but that's it. Jeff Swain was
that's Brian Harsin, but that's one. Andrew Beck, pretty good.
Yeah, those guys are playing. They play in the league because they were good blockers, but they weren't plus pass catchers.
Yeah, you're getting one or the other. You're not getting both.
Yeah, he's gotten one or the other. He's not gotten both in one tight end. I think that's what he's still searching for. Right?
Maybe Nick Townsend's the answer. Maybe Nick Townsend.
And by the way, Texas has the second longest tight end draft streak in the league right now. All this talk about tight ends, 3 straight years. Only I think maybe it's Michigan. Michigan's the only team that's had a longer streak. They've had 4 straight years with a tight end drafted. So Texas right there in the mix of this tight end revolution. Sark is still looking for his, the masterpiece at the tight end position for him. But he is really good at maximizing the tight end position. He says it's the second most important position behind quarterback in his offense.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. That position in general, that's a unicorn spot.
It is.
Because essentially, you're asking this guy to be able to read coverages and run routes like a receiver, but to block like an offensive lineman. Like that's a unicorn spot to be able to find that. And and a lot of time, and then too, like when you look at it from a standpoint of the blocking side, when are these guys actually working on that? It's so much 7-on-7 going on. You know what I mean? And
right.
It's kind of like I liken it like unto your big wanting to run the point guard instead of getting in the paint.
Yeah. So that tight end being I agree with it is rare. It is rare. But a school like Texas should be able to find one.
I agree.
It's like having a corner that can play man-to-man coverage and is a freak physically is rare. But Texas should be able to find it.
What state produces tight ends like that? Because
I don't know
certain states that produce positions, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Apparently, they're going to Illinois because they offered one, or in the Midwest, they offered one, and we're waiting on that commitment. Hank South was on with us earlier, Tony. A young man out of Libertyville, Illinois, is expected to announce his decision May 15th. And then Texas offered a 2028 tight end from the state of Wisconsin. So farm bred guys that
Iowa
down core. Yeah. Those guys, that's what they're looking for.
No,
dare I say that they pluck a tight end from Oklahoma?
Hey, didn't they say
what would be the controversy there? Raised in Oklahoma, but an avid UT fan on scholarship. Goodness gracious, the OTA have them on their hands, but I promise.
Oh, that's good.
Tony, we appreciate you, buddy. Enjoy your workout. Thanks for joining us again on Wednesdays, Hump Day with Hills.
Yes, sir. Hook 'em horns always, baby.
Hook 'em, brother. Appreciate you. Oh, that's good. Yeah. See, to that point, though, about Hills, I'm going to give you a quick stat. Of those 22 tight ends that were drafted in the NFL draft this past season, almost half of them didn't sign with an FBS team out of high school. It's a weird position, man. It's just a weird position.
Wait a minute. Time out. Say that again.
According to the New York Times, it says it said a lot of multiple college walk-ons were drafted as NFL tight ends last week, and that's why almost half of the 22 tight ends didn't sign with an FBS team out of high school. And then you got freaks like Eli Stowers, who was he was a quarterback. They moved. Yeah. Yep. I mean, tight ends. Remember, Travis Kelce was like a quarterback that moved. Like tight end is just a weird, freaky position. And now they want more of them, but it's hard to find, as Marcus mentioned, the guy that can be an elite player at both. But you definitely got to be capable and serviceable at both. If you're not a good blocker anymore, the NFL is kind of tuning you out. They're like, nah, we're not going for a guy who's not even a capable blocker. So it's interesting. It's an interesting conversation, but we We're moving on.
I like that conversation because it has ramifications in recruiting.
It does. And for Texas this year, like if Texas, do you play a lot of 12 personnel this year with your wide receiving core? With your running back room? You might maybe the most explosive running back room in the country. I'm not making that up. You are the only running back room that has 2 running backs with at least 48 forced missed tackles, with at least, I believe it's 9 20-plus yard runs each, and at least 600 yards of the contact. Like, you have a really explosive backfield. Don't you want to put both those guys on the field together? You have the best wide receiving room in the country. You're in that conversation. Ohio State's obviously number 1, but you're in that conversation. You want to take one of them guys off the field and just put 2 of them on the field with more unproven tight ends? Like, I wouldn't. I'd probably be more what LSU was in 2019 if I was Texas. But that's the weird thing. LSU didn't play a lot of 12 personnel, right? They were a lot of 11 personnel. Indiana this past year, they were big on 11 personnel. I think they were like at 15% 12 personnel usage. So it's all based on what your strength is.
They still had a heavy inside run game.
They did. They had 2,000-yard rushers. So they ran a lot. It's just that, the 12 personnel usage, it's depending on, the preference of the play caller. But this year it's going to be, I think, really interesting to see if Sark takes those wide receivers and running backs off the field. Yeah. To put on
good discussion.
Never know where coffee and football might take you in the morning, Blake.
That's right. Well, hey, it's going to take us multiple other places in a moment because we got a lot of questions to get to. But first, I need Rod to take us over to Hayes City Store and let us know about it.
Oh, I love me some Hayes City Store. As a matter of fact, me and my wife used to go on dates at Hayes City Store. And now we take the little one out there to Hayes City Store to have a good time. It is a fantastic place. I love comfort food. It's one of my favorite genres of food. And it is Texas-made comfort food. Scratch-made Texas-made comfort food, folks. And they've got everything. They got their famous truck stop enchiladas, the award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts. All of it delicious. Like I said, all of it made from scratch. Also, they got music 6 nights a week. They got 50 beers on tap, ice cold long necks. They got tasty margaritas. I love the margaritas. I'll vouch for them. They're fantastic. Also, the burger out there is really good. I'll vouch for that as well. There are 11 TVs alone in their ice house. Perfect for game days. And they even have brunch served from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Sunday. It's dog friendly as well. We used to have 2 dogs. We take the dogs out there to have a good time. They have a big tree net for the kids to run around on. So take the whole gang, take the whole group out there. It's really, really fun. You want more information, check out HayesCityStoreTX.com. And Mother's Day is coming up this weekend. So if you don't have plans for Mother's Day, make them with our friends over at Hayes City Store or their sister store or sister restaurant, I should say, is Taste, and it's fantastic. I've actually been to Taste a couple of times myself as well, and they also can help you out with Mother's Day reservations or Mother's Day plans if you don't already have them. So check it out for yourself. That's HayesCityStoreTX.com or look up Taste. It's also a fantastic restaurant, a little bit different, but still really, really good food.
Taste on Main. It is good. I was out there last night, by the way. Me and Jenny went out, and I had the pork chop.
Oh yeah, the pork chop.
Blackened pork chop. You talk about comfort food now. That went down. That went down well.
See, now I'm hungry. Thanks, Bobby.
Big old pork chop, man.
Now I want a pork chop in the morning for breakfast.
I know.
All right. Well, we got a super chat here that I need to read. And Michael, my apologies. I think you put this in right when Tony was coming on. So just getting to it. But Michael Schuler says, wife and I are moving back to Philadelphia today, driving from Austin. That is a heck of a drive. Just want to say thanks to Bobby, Jerry, Rod, CJ, and the entire OTF crew for everything over the years in Texas. I'm going to update it for you, Michael. It's 9:15 and OU sucks.
Damn right.
Michael, be safe driving back, bud. I'm sorry to see you go, but we will be in contact and always know you're welcome here on Texas Football. Please come back for some games, too. I got to know Michael and his wife a little bit in the last year and a half, and great people. Michael, safe travels today, buddy.
Yep. Be safe on that road, brother. Be praying for you guys to have safe travels. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate the super chat, brother. Thank you for the support.
All right, let's get to some other questions here. This morning, when we first opened the show, we talked about the AFCA proposed changes, and we had some other questions regarding that. So let's circle back to that one right now. Roger here says, so without conference title, what would replace it? Do you just give the title to the top team in the conference without a game?
I think
Yes.
so. Yeah.
That's the idea. Now, what happens if they're both undefeated within conference? Because you don't have to play everybody. That's a
Tiebreaker.
question. Yeah, tiebreaker of some sort.
Yeah.
But what would happen under a 24-team alignment? The first 8 teams would have a bye. Okay, 9 through 24 would then play that week 1.
Okay.
The games would be played at the home team's stadium or the stadium of the home team's choice. So if for some crazy reason it's Rice or U of H, they could actually play at Energy, or if it's SMU, it could actually be played at Jerry World or something. But long story short, 9 through 24 would play, and then you would actually go and then redo it, and then one would play 16, 2 would play 15, etc. And they would figure that out going from there. But it would be 5. You'd have to win 5 games. If you were teams 9 through 24, 4 games if you're teams 1 through 8 to win a national title.
Man, that's I know some people don't like it. They think it's watered down. I don't mind it. I don't.
You don't think it's watered down?
I don't, because I expected it. Like I said, every major American pro sport has expanded their playoffs recently. Maybe NHL hasn't. I haven't paid attention to NHL. I apologize. But almost everybody else has expanded their playoffs. So that's just the nature of the beast at this point. And the evidence suggests more ratings and more money from it. And that's why I expect, matter of fact, I said it when they initially expanded to 12. I said, guys, they're going to expand again, right? Y'all just so y'all know, it's a super size me generation. Once they got the ratings and then the money and the figures to back up, hey, we made more money and we got higher ratings. Don't y'all want more money and higher ratings? It's like, well, yeah. Well, then we should expand the playoffs. More money, higher ratings. Like that's all they do in the boardroom. They go and go, hey, when we expand the playoffs, we got higher ratings and we got more money. Don't y'all think, how you think we want to make more money and get higher ratings? We should expand the playoffs again. It's just natural.
Hey, Rod, this is the other question I had coming out of it for you. How many automatic berths should the SEC and Big Ten get out of 24? So the number that immediately comes up with some people is 6. So that would be 12 of 24 come from the Big Ten and the SEC. I don't know that that's enough.
It's not enough to order out of 24.
Out of 24, 12 out of 24 would be Big Ten SEC. There's more than that, in my opinion. Yeah. So should it be 7 each? 14 of 24. Leave 3 autos for that. That's the problem. Leave 3 autos each for the Big 12 and the ACC. Or 2
out of 12. You were 8 out of 12, right? Last year. 8 out of Big 10.
Both years, 8 out of 12 when it went to 12.
Yeah. I think it is. It's more than half. It's more than half. It's more than 12. I'm with you. It's either 14, between 14 to 16. It is between 14 to 16. But then what's the Big 12 and the ACC getting in this thing? That's what I'm saying. What we're gonna still give them 1?
Maybe 0. Maybe they don't get any guaranteed. I mean, maybe they get their conference champion guaranteed, and that's it. I don't know.
That seems like a slap in the face right there.
Well, they just look, the ACC doesn't deserve it. The ACC's actually put up a fight here of late. The Big 12, other than Texas Tech, has not put up a fight.
Yeah, you got.
I mean, look. Half the teams in the Big 10, Big 12, pay more to their basketball teams than they do their football teams.
That's fair. So
why should they?
And a group of 5, they ain't gonna ever get. We just go. They get one,
whatever.
One Cinderella story from the group of 5.
It's fine with me.
Like I'm
I mean, like these whole conference champions from those leagues just is ridiculous. I mean, James Madison had no chance. North Texas, I mean, they just don't have any chances.
No, I think, like I said, I think you're right. I think it's 14 to 16, somewhere in there.
You say 7 to 8 from each of the SEC and Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, make it 14, and then make it interesting for the Big 12 and the ACC. I'll say probably 14 is probably what it should be. Because then you got the group of whatever to worry about. And then you got the Big 12 and the ACC. They'll probably end up having 3 to 4. You know what I mean? Somewhere around there. And then you can still have your group, no group of 5. No, see, nobody that wants the group of 5 represented. They only want to have one team. Maybe if they have a team that's ranked, they got to be ranked in the top 10 or something like that.
So hey, this is right. I mean, Arizona State did give Texas a run for the money, no doubt. But is the commitment there long term? You know, I just don't know. I mean, my concern isn't that those teams don't belong or don't deserve a chance. It's that they're not competing on the same level. I mean, the SEC and the Big Ten at the highest levels right now are the dominant players in the sport. There are outliers like Notre Dame, like Miami, that are really strong, but they are anomalies. They're not through and through their entire leagues. And that's the difference. I mean, Mississippi State would be top 3 in the SEC in NIL. Or top 3 in the ACC in NIL.
That's crazy.
They'd be number 2 in NIL in the Big 12.
That's insane.
But they're 14th in the SEC.
They should be trying to get to the ACC.
You get my point. That's my whole thing. It's not, these two things are not the same.
I agree.
You're comparing apples and oranges at some level.
That's a hell of a fact. Wow.
I mean, Vanderbilt is doing more in NIL than almost all of the ACC, not including Miami. I mean, they're on the same par as Florida State. You wouldn't historically think that, right? Florida State, national power while we were growing up, Rod.
Mm-hmm. Different game though. Different set of rules. Different set of rules. But I'm with you. Now you made it sound more convincing. I'm with you. It probably should be, like I said, closer to 16. I would say 14 if you really want to try to include everybody. You want, inclusivity. But if you don't give a damn about inclusivity, then it should be 16.
My thought process, I guess, on it is follow the money.
Oh, well.
That's my follow the money. Oh. Where the money goes is where the best teams are, typically.
It's all in the Big Ten and ACC and the SEC. That's it.
Yeah. And a couple of anomalies, outliers.
It says A&M and SEC team couldn't score a touchdown in the playoff. Alabama got embarrassed by Indiana. Tennessee got embarrassed by Ohio State. SEC is not as strong as believed. No. The Big Ten versus the SEC is a different conversation. That I do agree. The Big Ten has closed the gap. I think we all have talked about that. Even Kirby Smart has recently been asked about that. They are closing the gap. I don't know if they've overtaken the SEC as the best football conference, but you can make the case for it now. And you couldn't make the case for it like 4 or 5 years ago. Now you can make the case for it if you want to.
You can make the case of it, particularly at the top of the league. Yep. I think they've produced better teams. Not necessarily better collections of talent, but better teams.
Which would point to better
offensive style. I think it's offensive style.
But, Bobby, does that point to better coaching? If you're doing more with less. Because y'all saying they don't have as much talent. The draft would say they don't have as much talent.
No, they don't, according to the draft.
And yet they're maximizing it more. They're putting it in better position to be successful. Scheme is more compatible with the players that they have. Their roster construction would have to be better. That's a conversation that you have to also entertain. Kirby, I think other coaches in the SEC will say, hell no, they're not better. But, hey, Cignetti right now may be the best coach in football. And Kirby Smart's right there with him. But Cignetti might have something to say about it. Like, how can you not be the best coach considering what you've done? It's the greatest story in college football history.
Greatest story in college football history.
Yeah, I think Indiana is. I don't think you get past that. Now, in the modern era, we're talking about guys buying talent, and this dude goes out there with How many? What was his blue chip ratio? 15, less than 15%, and went out there with the big boy. And by the way, called his shot like Babe Ruth. Said he was going to do it. Google me.
He did call it.
Man, ain't nothing like that story, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, ain't nothing like that story about sick. Ain't nothing like. And then Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman too. Then the trifecta, national title, Heisman, #1 overall pick. Get out.
Did you see the part where Front Office Sports, which is one of those business magazine type digital publications, they interviewed Mark Cuban, and he came out and said that he bridged the gap on Fernando Mendoza's NIL package.
Hey.
So he helped make Fernando Mendoza happen for the Hoosiers.
Smart move. You gotta have a sugar daddy if you're one of those programs. You gotta have somebody willing to do it. Because wasn't there a rumor that Georgia was trying to come in late and get Mendoza?
Yep.
Before he signed. So yeah, that was a smart move. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we got time for just another question or two before we get out of here. But first, Bobby, I need you to tell everyone about Adam Lowy one more time. Nope.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Oh.
Uh-oh. I think we lost him.
Yeah. See? Y'all was complimenting his internet too. That's y'all. Yeah. That's y'all fault. Y'all jinxed him.
I got to dial him back in, Roy.
Yeah. That's on y'all.
He'll come back. He'll come back. It's been a while since we got to play that. So I'm glad we did.
I remember that sound. That's crazy. I remember that sound. I'm that old. Damn it. That old. All right.
Oh, goodness. Well, I tell you what, Rod, I am going to read you this super chat, and then we'll come back to Lowy in just a second from Spank Boogie here. He says, I know how y'all feel about Texas' strong schedule, but preseason is all projections, and every team is different from the previous year. Let's just see. Hook 'em.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I would say it's a good news, bad news here. The good news is you right now are projected to have one of the most talented teams, if not the most talented team in college football. I mean, there are teams projecting you to have a lot of mock drafts, I should say, projecting you to have 4 to 5 first-round picks. I think Todd McShay had them with 6 first-round picks. I mean, you could end up breaking your all-time draft record. I think Sark recently said it with 12 guys being drafted in one draft. There are prognostications you're going to exceed that number. So that's the good news. The good news is you got tons of talent. Sark's most talented team. Bad news is every analytical model and I think it's SP Plus. If you looked at it, I believe Reddit College Football did it based on last year's ranking. You have the toughest schedule in college football. So at least you'll leave no doubt. And I think Arch will have plenty of opportunities to shine on the big stage. And yeah, no, preseason polls are preseason polls. I mean, but in terms of the analytics, if you look at SP Plus, which looks at returning production, which looks at, experience and starts and all that kind of stuff, and number of snaps returning, it's a cumulative stat. It also predicted Texas to have the toughest schedule, not just the preseason models of people looking at the rankings from last year. So and I think just looking at the schedule, look at it yourself and go, that's a tough schedule. It is a tough schedule. There's not really a letdown it's not a chance for you to really breathe. You say that at the beginning, but hell, man, Ohio State right there, sandwiched in between Texas State and UTSA. That's not really time to breathe. You got one less bye week, and then you start at all these big games are at Tennessee, at LSU, you're at A&M. Those are big games. And so we'll see. I mean, like I said, we don't know what this team is like. They may like playing on the road. They may bring out the best in them. But there's no doubt it's a tough schedule. But I think they got enough talent to win 10 games. That's all you need. You got to win 10 to get in. I wish it was 24, and then you can win 9 to get in. But you win 10, you're in. And if Texas gets in, I think they'll have as good a shot as anybody to win it all. No.
I think Bobby, by the way, says it was his battery, not his Wi-Fi.
It was the battery. That's right, the battery.
I'm gonna bring him back in here so he can plead his case.
Oh,
I tell you what, you try this all newfangled equipment and it just doesn't work. I tried a new battery plug-in to try to help this out. You can't handle the microphone and the light all at the same time.
I don't trust technology. I still use these. I don't trust technology.
Yeah, somebody says invest in some new hardware. I think that's what's happening today. So, be aware that the Apple Store is getting ready to get a new customer, or I'm going to switch to a Dell or Lenovo or one of those.
Do it.
Unbelievable.
Bobby, maybe before you disconnect again, can you tell us about Adam Lowy one more time?
Before I disconnect again. All right, Adam Lowy, Lowy Law Firm. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind, make sure you check out LowyLawFirm.com. They'll give you a free, no strings attached consultation if you're due compensation. Again, that's LowyLawFirm.com. Thank you very much, Adam, and for your sponsorship of On Texas Football.
All right, well, before we get out of here, I got to mention one thing. I meant to bring it up at the beginning of the show, but in case you missed it yesterday, a grand slam from Texas baseball catcher Carson Skinny. And, it was the go-ahead grand slam to let Texas end up winning that game against UTSA. But I got to play this for y'all real quick.
That's pretty sick.
Well, there you go. Texas wins 11-8.
Beautiful. That's nice.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Love it. Have you ever hit a home run? You ever hit a home run, Rod? You ever play baseball?
No. I wish. Hell, I tried. No, I wish I had hit a home run. I wish I could trot around the bases like that with swag. No, never did.
One in my lifetime. Like
you hit a home run?
Yeah, one.
Nice.
Rod shocked.
No, I'm jealous.
Thanks, Rod.
I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. That's pretty badass. That's pretty nice. Like it. Mm-hmm. 183 feet. Yeah, see, no, Bobby didn't hit it that far.
No. Bobby tries to jog that far, much less.
That's cool.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Adam Lowy and the Lowy Law Firm. We want to thank Adam along with Prize Picks, Mint Mobile, and Hayes City Store for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified anytime we go live, post a video, whatever it may be. And that way you don't miss a thing. Bobby, what do they not need to miss later?
They don't need to miss State of the Program. Myself, Rod, and CJ Vogel going to be talking about some Longhorn stuff as it relates to recruiting, as well as what the players and coaches are up to right now. And then also Jerry Hamilton is on the road. I want to mention that. So he's seeing Easton Royal today, the wide receiver. There has been some scuttlebutt behind the scenes that Easton Royal might be toying a little bit more with LSU of late. He's, of course, the University of Texas Longhorn commitment. That's the number one ranked wide receiver in the country. So we're making sure that happens. And then we have a live stream again later this evening. So make sure you check it out. We got all kinds of stuff going on over at On Texas Football and OnTexasFootball.com.
That's right. Well, we hope you all have an outstanding day today. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow morning. So for Rod Babers and Bobby Burton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you next time.